Justin Spoon Guida. I'm calling you Spoon because it's an alumni thing, and I don't have to say Uncle Justin, the director. So, Spoon, how's it going, brother?
Hey Sam, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for taking the time to, hang out with me for a little bit. This is the first Golden Slipper alumni uh, podcast, so we're calling it the Alumni Experience, and talking to some old faces and some current faces and even some new faces that have felt the sting of not being at camp for a summer. And we thought we'd share some tales of old and with some awesome people, and then maybe parents can see that your kid that goes to camp can grow up and be all right.
Well, it's a
So
pleasure to be here. Thanks for
yeah,
asking me to join. And
yeah, absolutely. I wanted you as our first guest. That was intentional.
and I
You
was
know.
technically I'm not alumni because I still work there, but I feel like there's a little part of me that still is. I don't know. It's a
I
weird.
don't know. 20 years to me says you're alumni. I mean, that's
Yeah,
and
20
you're
years.
no longer a counselor or a camper.
Yeah,
So, you're technically on the other side.
I'll
So
take
I'll,
the
I'll take it.
yeah, I'll take the label, no problem.
Yeah, right. Alumni, I would say, is an accomplishment. But so, hey, so let's kind of get into like how you were introduced to the Golden Slipper family and when you started and all that kind of stuff.
All right. Um, so I started when I was 18. I had graduated high school. A little background: my superlative was most spirited in high school.
No
Um,
kidding.
yes, and I worked at a toy store and a party store. Um,
Wait,
so
you
I was
worked at KB, right?
baby toys and parties.
Yeah.
Yeah, two jobs out of high school, looking for a little direction, and I had become really close friends actually with Matt Friedman, who's another alumni. Well, all these people are going to be alumni, but
Right.
who I still talk to today. He was in the band with me actually. I don't know if that's embarrassing for him or not. But
That's embarrassing. That's fine.
my really close friend Amber Ivers, her and
Hmm.
her whole family had come as well, and we had become really close. So she's like, "You need to come to camp." I didn't
Yep.
realize I was already a camp person without ever going to camp.
Yep.
Uh, so in 2001,
Hmm.
they finally got me to go. To actually, funny story, I wasn't selected to be hired that first
Really?
2001. Somebody got sick during orientation. So
Wow.
I had worked on, the application and waited. So, I don't know if it was Steve Alper or Amber who called me and was just like, "Hey, we have an opening." It was 3 days into orientation. Do you still want to come? And
Yeah.
KB Toys was very cool about it. Party City was kind of an abrupt leave. Um, KB Toys welcomed me back many years after that. But so I came
Yeah.
up to 3 days late, and I also met. So I used to follow the girls softball team around. I was their unofficial mascot because Amber played.
Right.
So I knew another person, Dana Koppel, and actually
Ecop.
that's kind of how I got my nickname, was because I sat next to her and she was chewing on a spoon, and the rest was history, I guess.
Yeah. Didn't she put it in your hat?
No, I took it from her because chewing on spoons is disgusting.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Dana. It's
Perfect.
20 years later.
That's
So
all
I
right.
took it off of her, and I didn't want to cause a scene. It's like 7 o'clock. And so I just put it in my hat, like I put pens, everything
Yeah.
else, and I put everything in my hat, and then the next morning it was still there. So it was kind of like a Linus's blanket. Good luck
Yeah.
charm. I had never left Northeast Philadelphia before. It
Hmm.
was a huge deal for me, being a neighborhood kid, and
Yeah.
that was a little bit of my good luck charm, and it's I
So
guess it worked.
did you? Yeah, absolutely. It definitely worked. Because I mean, look, 20 years later, you're the director of the camp. You've done everything that there is to do in between. You were lucky enough to be in my double bunk, and we were kind of cozy, so that was fun.
My
But
CIT.
that's right. Where did you go to high school?
I went to Northeast High School.
You went to Northeast. Okay. It's D-Cop, I think, went to Washington. I was trying to put it all together.
Yeah, but because I followed
The
the team
softball team.
around,
Right. Hmm.
I had met her before. Yeah.
Right. That's funny. That's so funny. So you started in 2001. Do you remember what bunk you started in?
I do. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Bunk five for life.
There you
Yeah.
go. That's awesome. So
Yeah. It was.
So did you bounce around a bunch of bunks? Did you stay mostly in Vogelson Village or?
So my history at camp is bunk 5, which we
Mhm.
later named 5X because the 5 and 6 counselors, we were always just very close. I was there for 5 years. Reed Lyons was my first co. Um, and sorry, I'm just trying to think about that first year. The first year was just a wild time.
Yep.
And I was in bunk 5 for 5 years, so that's easy to remember. And
Right.
then I became the Caden village leader for 2 years.
Yep.
And then I moved up to the evening activity position. I started taking on more responsibility. I became special events. I ran the CITs 1 year along with doing special events. And then I did the day schedule. I became the assistant director. And then
Right.
thankfully I was chosen. I applied, and through a rigorous process, I was actually hired as a director, which I'm honored.
Yep.
So
Absolutely. Yeah.
that's
I mean, we were
20.
we couldn't be happier. I mean, for those of you that don't know, on my side of things, I was a camper, a counselor. Then I joined the Golden Slipper membership, started working with the camp board, and I was there while that whole selection process was going on. And it's not a joke. It was grueling. There was a lot going on with all that.
Give
And
me any tips. So thanks a lot for that. No,
yeah. Hey man, you gotta separate the no.
absolutely. No,
But
no.
I
I'm happy I
I
won it on my own.
yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, and you didn't need any help. That's the whole thing. You were this was born into you and you didn't even know it. That's so crazy. Normally when I'm talking to alumni and other people that are camp people, it started with that common bond as when we were campers, and then it translated into everything else. You were camp people day one. I mean, I was a waiter your first year, and I remember vividly that I was like, oh yeah, this guy, he's camp, he's a lifer.
I
And
got
3 or 4 days in, I was like, he's a lifer, he's gonna be here forever,
so far. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, I
right.
mean, camp was transformative, and
Hmm.
it's just an amazing summer. I mean, it taught me so much about myself. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, did you win any awards at your time at camp?
so I did. I always Adam Krameroff was my village leader, and I won the. Well, first I had the honor to be an Olympic captain. Second
Right.
second session, I wasn't a first session captain. My first year, I was a second session, so they let me grow a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh, but so I got chosen for that, which was a huge honor.
Yep.
And I won the Vogelson Feather. So my name
Okay.
is on a plaque. I actually won it with Jared Silverstein. We both won it at the same time,
That's
second in 2001. So our
that's
names are
some
together on that
that's some
little
slipper royalty right next to each other there. That's good.
painted sign that's in Vogelson Rec. I'm on there.
Yep.
I then continued to come to camp in 2003. That was a pretty awesome year for us as far as Bunk 5. My
Yeah.
co Cohen won the feather.
Hmm.
We won the whatchamacallit. Oh my gosh. We won the pizza party for cleanest bunk, you
Right.
know, and we also that's when I won the big award.
The
So
big
not only,
one.
yeah,
What's the big award?
I actually swept the awards for staff because back then they also gave a $250 scholarship out, and I
Hmm.
had applied for that and I won that, which was amazing. And
Wow.
then later on, I also won the Jerome S. Furman Counselor Spirit Award in
Yep.
2003. So that's the highest award that you can win at camp. It's the biggest honor besides being director that I've had in my life.
Yep.
So it was just, yeah, 2003 was a huge year for those
We're not
awards.
going to talk about your wedding or anything. We'll leave that off the table for biggest honor of your life.
Honor is a little different for wedding. I mean, that was a big
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah. That's a big. Yeah. I would. Yeah. All right, I'm with you there. I'm with you there. That's awesome. So you talked about Olympics, right? You got into you were first year, second encampment Olympic captain. So you were thrown to the wolves for less than a month, and then all of a sudden now you're running an Olympic team. You had barely one Olympics under your belt
We
to
lost
to
that.
to learn. Yeah. So what team were you the captain of?
I was co-captains with Alex Hawes, and we were Superman, Team
Yeah.
Force.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I started climbing up the flagpole, the first layer.
Hmm.
That continued to be a tradition for many years.
Hmm.
But I was like, hey, can I get up there? And they're like, sure. So I jumped up and kind of did the flying.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a crazy
It
four
was
days.
the
We came
dab, pre-dab, right?
well, pre-dab. Yeah, it was a little more Superman-y. Through this screen. It looks that way. But
Yep.
I mean, we tried hard. Actually, Jessica Fell was part of my team, which she then
Hmm.
became administrator at camp, and she still shared. She had one of the songs written.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a wild time. It was awesome. We definitely lost. We came all the way in fourth place, but we had smiles on our face that entire time.
That's awesome.
So yeah,
That's
very.
all you can ask for, man. That's it's yeah, you know what? The most fun I had on any team was probably when I was losing.
Yeah.
And like when you knew you couldn't win and then it was just about cheering and having a good time. Like I wasn't on this team, but like they seemed to have a really good time.
So
You
I
know?
was drafted as the cheer person for that team, and that's actually
Yeah.
that's my favorite Olympic cheer. Is That's funny that you're wearing that. I didn't even pay attention. That's the shirt you're wearing.
Yep.
GRY, you also know the rest because Team 4 Gryffindor is the best. Yeah,
That's
that was
it. It's
super.
funny. That was on my list of what was your favorite cheer? Because I had a feeling that that was going to
I
come
jumped
up
ahead.
yeah, right, one of those things. That's awesome, dude.
Well,
I
Gryffindor for Olympics, but the Vogelson cheer is still my favorite. And just
yeah.
no hate towards any other village, but
Nah.
oh,
No,
that's so
no,
great.
nobody. I'm with you. I was mostly a Caden counselor, and I would say that I mean the KADDEN had nothing on the Vogelson
Right.
train. I mean that
We only
was
fought
just
for a little bit. Where Vogelson, you had
yeah.
the whole build up. So
Oh yeah, they have the energy. You know, those young kids, they have the energy to do that all day. That's it. You get
I
to
know.
the middle school age, they lose it.
I love every camp cheer. I don't
Mhm.
have to say that. I really do.
Yeah,
Even the ones that go super long, and being the guy on the microphone, I've had to cut off. Like, okay, well, sorry, we can't get that far. We got to go. But I think Vogelson, I think just because I started there,
yeah,
you don't forget your roots.
yeah, for sure, for sure. So with Olympics, that was I mean, you got your cheer in there. What do you remember what your record was or
Ooh.
is?
I think I won twice. I don't even know what teams they'd be, but I remember eating pizza twice. So we used to draft for Spirit. Um,
Right.
Running the drafts now, it's not a huge thing. You just kind of get Spirit. There's so much Spirit at camp, you just kind of get them now. The
Right.
council do that. But in the beginning years, and it was always so much pressure, especially when I was younger, early 20s. But
Hmm.
those days, I just lost my voice. I tried to lead everything. They all blur into one now. It's just me, cheering and with the kids, and so I think I won twice,
Yeah.
which means I lost 8 times.
Okay.
I think I remember eating pizza, and I know I have the ribbon somewhere because I keep everything,
Right.
but I had to check the record box for that. But
I was actually in my attic earlier and because the kids decided they wanted to rip everything apart and the I found like this half empty box and I was like, oh, what's in that? And I opened it up and it was all the bunk notes, like just a stack of bunk notes, and I was like, that makes sense. You know, that I still have all of them.
I've kept basically all of my Western Unions over the years.
Yeah,
They've started to go down in number, but I still,
probably.
yeah, I have my feather. I still have the feather I
Yeah,
won. Um, yeah, I'm a little bit of a hoarder with camp memorabilia. During the quarantine, I have gone through stuff. Um,
yeah,
but I haven't really thrown away anything from camp. I've just consolidated it and those types of things.
that's good.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. So, do you remember like do you have any favorite songs from Olympics when you were? I mean, probably your own team songs because that's
Honestly, I don't even remember, and that's
yeah,
the curse of being a captain is you're usually doing a million other things during that time. It's like
yeah,
being an administrator. Your mind's in a couple different places. So I don't remember mine. One, I mean, I remember Reed Lyons wrote a song to "Drops of Jupiter," and that was
yeah.
also a song that me and Adam Krameroff just like. It's the early 2000s. Like we just like woke up and belted that song all the time. But he mentioned like Charlie Brown's fried chicken. I can't remember
Yeah,
But I just remember going like, oh man, like it was just whatever year that was, whatever
Oh,
team.
Charlie Brown, man. That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
So I
Yeah.
remember his song, and that was awesome. I wish I
Yeah.
could remember more because I've learned so many too, but
Yeah.
I guess it's gone in. It's left. It's left the
Right.
brain.
That's funny. Yeah, I Reed was an excellent songwriter. I really like the stuff that he did, and it's funny. Like I can't hear a lot of the songs, especially from the early 2000s, like for what they are. I remember like the camp versions of those songs more, and will sing that in my head.
I wish I
But
could remember them more, but
yeah,
I cannot.
that's funny. The for the youngins that don't know, Drops of Jupiter absolutely owned camp for one summer.
Yeah.
It was at every dance, sometimes twice at a dance, and it just was nonstop the whole
If
summer.
you were in my bunk, you woke up to that and various other punk rock covers. Yeah.
That's it. Yep, that's a fact.
John Dever, whatever it was, that's what we were waking up to.
Oh yeah. When I was in bunk 13, it's funny it said about Matt Friedman. He was like he was a big like into the music stuff for me. Like I was really like a punk rock kid and got and like it was like Good Charlotte and you know Blink 182 and all that stuff like back
Yeah,
then.
Bumblebee Tuna. I remember. I think
Yeah,
him.
Bumblebee Tuna. That was when I was in his bunk. That's funny.
There you go. I remember that. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, the good old days. The good old days. So, what summer do you think impacted you the most
Oh boy.
in your time? Because that's something that I think that a lot of people will be curious about when you have like a long history of camp, you know?
Can I cheat a little bit? Does it? Can I say multiple ones? Because it's so like I feel like
Well,
the
it could be for different reasons, you know. I mean,
so the first year, obviously, like again, leaving the Northeast, it was such a
yeah,
game changer. It set me on my life path of being an educator.
right,
When I went up to camp, again, I was working two jobs, but I didn't know. None of my friends had gone to college really, so I didn't know what I was doing in life. Once I went to camp, I was like, oh, if I can live with 10-year-old boys, I guess I'll teach them.
right,
So first summer definitely set me off, on the right track and kind of just definitely changed me. 2003 winning, having great codes, like that was just really fantastic summer. I feel like it, and it's also my third year, and so even teacher friends like like Chad Deach, like after 3 years you kind of get it, like
right,
even so once you've been teaching the same subject, 3 years you kind of become that master. So 2003 was awesome. I think one of the most transformative years was 2012 though.
yeah,
2012, I had become closer friends with Tommy O'Neill. We actually like bunked together as
right,
administrator. And I've had, I mean, such good people I've worked with the arts and crafts folks and with the day man, like I mentioned, Chad and Tommy. I'm trying to think of what, but anyway, so we really complimented each other. And that
mhm,
summer we just kind of just vibed. And
yeah,
we actually wound up calling it the summer where all dreams come true, like unofficially with the
right,
admins, you know, Vicky was there, the art, like anything I wanted to do, like color war. I believe that was the first year we did it. So it was like, how can we get super messy and it'd be awesome at camp? So that happened. Fireworks happened.
right,
Um, we did the dinner dance out on the lower ball field, the shipwrecked theme. The
hmm,
Olympic themes were just insanely fun. And so were the breakouts. I remember that summer again. We just kept saying, you know, the summer where all dreams come true. Because anything I thought of, we all worked together, or someone else thought of. Like it was just like we were just all riding so high, getting everything done.
yeah,
Uh, Camp like an awesome place, and we were just so happy. And looking back on that summer, really, I had been the evening program guy for a couple of years. It was just like new stuff, new stuff.
yeah,
I, Now it was more than 3 years, but I really found my groove, especially working with the people I was around.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, I
Well,
think the
there's a
first,
big difference, I think, with being upper staff and then being like a counselor, though. I would say that was, I mean, that might have been where maybe '03 was like your favorite counselor year. Maybe 12 was more the upper staff. Now you're the man.
I mean, I was 6 years in. I had done the 2 years of Caden transition,
Hmm.
kind of find my way. Again, every summer is the best, even though they
Yeah,
kind of meld into each other. When I think about what they did for me. Like becoming an administrator was a
Yeah.
huge deal. Being a boss, quote unquote, like
Yeah.
making decisions. That led me again to, especially in 2012, getting my teaching job and all that, and working with the administration and being able to be flexible and be a leader while still just being a teacher.
Yeah.
That again set me on my path, and maybe that's to get my master's degree in
Yeah.
educational leadership. So I think 2012 really did, send me on that path again. Another path set,
Yeah.
paved by camp.
Yeah. So what is you gonna get the EDD next? Is that now that
I
you're
would
doing
give myself some time.
yeah.
I would love to be Dr. Spoon or Dr.
Dr.
Guida.
Spoon. I like it. That's it. I think we need to get like a jersey or something that said Dr. Spoon.
I don't want to be a fake doctor. So yeah, if I ever go back and do get it, that would be awesome to be,
That'd be cool. Yeah.
just so people can call me Doc. That would be great.
Oh yeah. Well, by then you'll look like Christopher Lloyd. That's a Back to the Future reference for you young kids
I
that are
thought it was a
tuning in.
Gray reference. This
Yeah,
summer's
right.
really brought it out of me.
Yeah, right. Now it's funny that all of those things, like camp has that ability to make people kind of spiral their life decisions different ways. It's I mean that's why I started out as a teaching major as well. And like that the whole reason was because I wanted to keep going back to camp, and life took a turn and I had to be a grown up and stop going because I didn't do that. And Tommy, who was my best friend growing up, he did, and he's still able to keep going. Our plans didn't work out though. We were supposed to be the youngest village leaders that there ever were.
No one left being a village
Right.
leader until a couple of years.
Yeah.
Then a little bit more turnover. Because people are not going into teaching all the time.
Right.
It's very competitive out there, especially in America. It's very competitive.
It's
So
hard to be a teacher too. I mean, you guys don't get nearly the credit that you should. I mean, I'm in the schools all the time with I do because of what I do, and most of my clients that I work with are all teachers, and I see what kind of how life kind of hits them. It's rough. It's a hard job, and then to think that you do that and then leave there and then plan for camp because your job's all year round.
yeah, we call it full time, part time,
Full time, part time.
because I'm
Yeah,
part time, but I still have to do everything that needs to get done full time.
sure.
And
Absolutely.
I have tremendous help, from the office staff and from my admin staff
Yeah.
and from caretaking staff. I mean, everyone is a tremendous help, but
Yeah.
it still is. Some nights are long hours for sure, especially with
Sure.
teaching and then getting into camp. We have our board meetings, and
Oh
then
yeah.
planning, interviewing. Again, sometimes it's difficult. I mean, I'm on my prep or my lunch, and I'm talking to someone from overseas.
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned about how camp really sets some people on their life path, because
Yeah.
last year in hiring people, and especially during that closing ceremonies time and afterwards, I felt such a different feeling.
Yeah.
Being that guy, being the director, being Tom O'Neill, Steve Albert, like these guys, I'm that person. And
Right.
reflecting on it, like closing ceremonies was just such a big deal for me, because I'm like, I brought all these people together. Like a lot of people returned, right? But
Yeah.
especially all the new people and the kids, it's just like I help make these kids have this experience. I'm like, by kids now, I'm 37, I get to say the staff are kids too.
Yeah.
It's just really, it was an amazing, just like feeling to,
Yeah.
I'm not a loss for words, sorry, but just
Yeah.
looking at that whole crowd and being like, wow, like all these friendships that were made. It's like, I hired this person, I interviewed them, I thought they were great for camp, and they were great for camp. Now they're winning an award, and
Yeah.
it definitely made closing ceremonies mean something completely different from what I had felt before.
Yeah. I
It was,
can I can see that. I mean, even just in the way, I mean, we've known each other a long time.
yeah,
Your how we talk, just like chatting on the phone or something, totally different. It's just like you took this role on and it sits well with and I love that, I know after, you know, working with you and knowing you for as long as I have, like I know that my happy place from childhood is in good hands because it's yours too. And that's why, when I said we talked on the phone and you had mentioned like, well, not technically alumni, and I said, but you are because you're our people. and it's good. I love that.
I love camp. I do. So it's
Yeah,
an honor for me to be there. It's an honor for me to continue to go, uphold these traditions that I inherited, right?
right.
And make new ones and make new memories. Like I'm not perfect. I thank
No,
you for your vote of confidence. I know,
yeah.
there's still lots of growth, but you know,
Everybody can do better. Like that's the thing,
what I
But
strive to do
yeah,
because
but when camp's in your heart though, it's a whole, then that's it. Like, you can make anything happen. You can make it possible just because your heart's in the right place. When your heart's not in the right place, it's very apparent and the kids know.
I bleed gold and blue, and I think that
Yeah.
everyone knows that. So, um, but yeah, it's awesome. I get to do what I do. It's amazing. I get to return, and the
Yeah.
job has definitely changed. From what I did. I was the wacky guy on the mic and planning all those events, and I try to. It's a little more behind the scenes,
Yeah.
which again I'm fine with because anything I could do to make camp better, and
Yeah.
anything I could do, like, to me, it's a privilege.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So do you have like a favorite memory? Like just this, or like a favorite stupid story or something that, one of those ones where you're driving in the car and then randomly like the thought pops in your head and you start cracking up, or, and it's like that thing happened, like any kind of randomness like that.
Oh boy. I mean, okay. There's just so many. I'm just trying to.
The PG ones, because of the,
They're all PJ.
that's right. That's right.
Listen, when I was younger, the first, when I was a counselor, holding up a giant tablespoon and having all the boys, I didn't realize that Philly loved the boo cheer until then,
Yeah.
because everyone thinks boo, like, that's like, it's not a funny thing, but it's just like, oh man, that was like, it was so fun because it wasn't
Yeah.
ego. Like if I did it now, it's like, oh, all right, sit down. But like in
Yeah.
that moment, it was just like, that's who I was. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of my favorite memories, like riding like bikes with kids. I did bikes for a long time. My calves are super big because of that. So like teaching a kid how to ride a bike,
Yeah.
or just being in the bunk and hanging out. We actually, because my village leader didn't want us hanging out, we hung out in the bathroom with chairs, talking, like just talking to my co's.
Yeah.
You had to do the same thing when you were my co.
Sure.
So like, those kind of like smaller moments
Yeah.
really mean a lot. Um, but
I, I
yeah,
I think that's something that's overlooked a lot of times. Like a lot of people, like when you talk to them about like, oh, what was your favorite moment? And you hear like an Olympic, win, or like a Furman, or shoe pack or whatever kind of thing. I think for me, a lot of times it's the little dumb hanging out in the bunk kind of moment of like,
like
oh
when I'm an administrator, kids ask me for a ride on the golf cart.
yeah,
When I was Kate in VL, the stump is not there anymore, but there was a stump. I would read. It's like how to survive. So it's like how to survive, a crocodile attack. I read that every morning for morning lineup.
yeah,
And my counselor still remembers. Sometimes they'll randomly text me like, "Oh, hey," and it's just, like that kind of stuff was fun.
yeah, that's awesome.
Trying to think. Yeah, I mean, there's just riding. I mean, bikes was a big deal. Nature, running nature, catching salamanders.
Hmm.
Trying to talk the kids into signing up for nature and having Tom Wilbur just go, "Say you're catching salmon. Say you're catching." So I just like listened to him on the microphone. Giving my first public speech. I mean, I bawled hysterically the first time I ever got on a microphone for the Olympic speech
Yeah.
because it was, like what camp means to you, and I just like I broke down. It was my first time ever at camp, and I just was like, the love starts on the buses, and I just now I'm a teacher. I can public
Right.
speak in front of anybody, huge crowds, but I just like hyperventilated, cried,
Yep.
and Amber actually, because she was obviously that first year she was there, like I remember that wrote a little note saying nice speech, and like not supposed to pass notes around the dining hall, but she's the
Yeah.
weight counselor, so she got it to me, and it just like made me feel better because I was like embarrassed a little bit, and I remember, yeah.
That's
Anyway,
cool. That's
memories.
a great memory, though. It's hey, everybody who was really into camp got emotional. It's okay.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember my Olympics giving a speech, and I remember, I think I did the same topic, like what camp meant to you. And I remember I couldn't look at Tommy because who was my best friend and also my rival. you know. And I was like, because then I'm gonna cry and I can't do, like, I'm just like, keep the head down, don't look at anybody. You know, it just gets in you. You can't help it.
I mean, I'm even thinking like when my nephew came,
Yeah,
when Omar's daughter, who's essentially my niece, came. So
yeah,
Kiara, Christian came. Having them there at camp is like, wow, like my actual family. Like no one has ever really visited camp.
yeah,
I'm too busy working. So like having my sister down at the buses,
yeah.
like this is what you do, like but having Christian there, that was just such a cool experience too. Like having
Absolutely.
actual family instead of camp family, which they're kind of
Right.
one theme for me.
Yeah.
But having him there was awesome. And the same thing with Key. Just like she knows me from home. She's known me like I was there when she came home with the video camera. Like the first day
Right.
she came home, like, and now she's at camp. It was just those types of things. They get to me too. I guess I am a little emotional. It's my old
That's
age now.
good. That's all
37,
right.
38.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're ancient now. Yeah, I'm 34. So
I think today you just called me. We just Adam is getting together a whole bunch of videos and pictures for our closing ceremonies, and I think
sure.
I'm like in that mindset of it's about to be the end of camp Thursday. We did
Right.
5 weeks of virtual stuff, which wasn't the same. Obviously, we're planning for the future. This was historic. Next summer is going to be epic. That's kind of like my mindset going into things, but I've just kind of been reflecting, like
Yeah.
thanking the people who are giving me things and sending, oh, I couldn't, that they're trying to send emails that they can't, we're working through the problems. And, it's just like, it reminds me of that hecticness of camp, trying to
Yeah.
get the deadlines done. And
Right.
also that reflecting piece, because it's kind of sad as different as it was this summer. It's
Yeah.
still like it's coming to a close, which is kind of needed. We need to like take a step forward now.
Right.
But it's still like sad. Like for me, the summer is over when the kids leave, when I stop. So
Yeah.
we got a couple other surprises up our sleeve, but I think that's what's got me a little bit emotional in our conversation this evening.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Well, so how did this summer, I was going to ask you like how you were feeling about all of the things. I mean, obviously, the pandemic and everything caused us to close the physical camp. But and for obviously our kids' safety are always number one. So, with having to shut down the physical camp, one of the things I was really afraid of is that the connection was going to be gone, for a year, because and then maybe it would, not be where everyone is as excited as normal, year after year. And then all of a sudden I start getting these emails and stuff that like you're doing the virtual camp and all that. And I was like, well, why wouldn't we? This is great. I didn't, like, how did you like doing that?
I mean, so like working with the members, I mean, just to go back to the whole like closing thing, like we really worked tirelessly.
Yeah.
And I have to give like our member team so much credit because we met multiple times a week, hours at a time.
Right.
Everyone knows the information was changing almost hourly.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get all this information. I'm presenting it. We're digesting it. What do we have? So they really put in a lot of effort, and we really want a camp to open. But like so many other camps, obviously the time came where we just knew that there was too many unknowns. We couldn't
Yeah.
keep people safe, and ultimately, too, it wouldn't have been what Golden Slipper was, right? And that's like that emotional side of me, which is like, we're making all these contingency plans, but is this still going to be camp?
Right.
So going into this year, that is still my focus. How can we, even if COVID's still, I'm sure it's going to be around, maybe it's controlled, I don't know, whatever, but we got to make camp as close to camp as possible. Which this summer it wasn't going to be safe and it wasn't going to be camp. So that was like a lot of what the members and I spoke about to finally come to that decision. And I think we did the right thing. But uh, talking about the virtual stuff again, other camps, my ears to the grindstone, nose to the whatever that saying is.
Yeah.
Seeing what they were doing. Again, we were not going to charge for anything, right? Like that's
Yeah.
not. We were just going to offer. And my biggest thing was connection. How can I get the kids, especially the younger kids? Like when I meet up with the older kids, they're like, "Oh yeah, we have an Instagram group chat, and we named it the Bunk M group chat." And I was like, "Oh, okay, Council Girls, you got it." So like
That's
they're
killer.
already the older kids are connected.
Right.
So I did create this Flipgrid. So I wanted safe, closed social networks, right?
Yeah.
Because we're going to be dealing possibly with 7-year-olds all the way to 15, the counselors. So I was like, how can I control? And I don't know everything, but I made a Discord, which is kind of like the alumni will know chat rooms, like AOL chat rooms. It's kind of like a really advanced chat room with
Okay.
subheadings, and you post memes, you post events, announcements. I had one for each village set up. And the Flipgrid it's basically like Instagram, where you're recording stories and people can reply, but it's closed. I was only sending it to families that were signed up for this summer,
Hmm.
just because I wanted everyone to be protected as
Right.
much, because that's the scary part, right, with social media. So I still let parents know, hey, it's a social media-esque, but we're monitoring it, we're in control of it. I
Right.
also created like a Facebook private group. So just people who I don't want random people getting in. So we had a private group that we monitored and looked up their names and all that
Thanks
stuff.
for declining my
Definitely did not decline. But there were a couple of names that I didn't recognize.
Yeah.
I messaged, no one got back to me. Those types of things, just because they're not in our system, and I don't. I even tried to look. Do we have friends in common? Those types of
Right.
things. But anyway, so we kept it as safe as possible, which I was very happy about, and we gave the kids an opportunity to meet not live, and then we
Right.
did a lot of Zoom. So we all the villages met. I have fantastic administrators, Rachel, Tom Baxter. The head counselors were there. Asia. I mean, all these people showed up. I don't want to name every name because I'm going to
Yeah.
miss somebody.
Yeah.
But counselors would show up. We did it. I tried to make the schedule, and again, I was that guy, right? I was the evening
Right.
program guy, the activities guy. So to me, that was like second nature. Okay, what can I do to give some semblance of camp? A dance, a campfire, village meetings.
Right.
Uh, we did do like board games. I did rainy day games. Did pillowcase craziness
Right.
instead of laundry bag lunatics, which is usually what the bunk activity is, where you're pulling out random things. Um, so I just, again, my goal was to, besides using the online social media type things, was how can I just keep the connection, whoever can, because some families had to find other things to occupy their time. So
Sure.
totally understand that, and Adam made great videos. So we had the TikTok submissions for MTV night. That video came out great. We had the welcome show. Everyone was doing skits. That came out wonderful. And I know that the closing ceremony one's going to be really good. I mean, a bunch of people have sent in their videos, their pictures, and it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to watching it.
Me too. Yeah, I think that I love that you took the camp feel and just kept rolling with it regardless.
I just
It's
want
hard to do camp not at camp. Like,
it was
let's be
very
real,
hard. Yeah, it
you
was
know.
very.
And I mean, you guys had worked so hard to even come up with all of the different contingencies to try and open. And like, I mean, that was, I know, like, I mean, from talking to you and talking to Tommy and everybody, like that was exhausting. So then to get through all that and then say, okay, now I need to plan a summer online, like that's
Yeah,
unreal, man. Like that's
I was also
I
teaching
can't even fathom. Yeah, and you
and
were teaching. Yeah, you were
planning the
teaching,
wedding that was
planning the
supposed to
wedding,
happen.
teaching. Oh
Yeah, it
my,
was.
yeah,
I feel
it's a
personally
lot.
attacked. I don't want
Yeah,
to take anything away from anyone who's been affected by this, but I do
yeah,
feel personally attacked. It's just my best laid plans, and
yep,
everyone is affected in different ways. But I had the
sure.
trifecta,
Yeah,
and but like I said, the members, my admin, the office staff, and Sam, the caretaking guy, like everyone worked together.
yeah,
We're all trying to figure it out, and yeah, it was. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was stressful.
sure.
But again, and not to get too corny, but it's that bigger picture, right? We
Right.
are changing lives, and not just for kids, which is my number one goal. Like, it's so rewarding. Like, I'm teaching, and then I immediately go up to camp. Like, it's rewarding to work with kids.
Yeah.
Um, but I even see it now, like, for the staff, right? Like,
Mhm.
they needed this. A lot of them are reaching out even more than campers are, because they understand what they're missing even more.
Yeah.
Next year, again, I said it's going to be epic. I feel like we could just roll a ball out. Everyone's going to have a great time. I mean, we're going to
Yeah.
do more than that. We have a lot of stuff planned, but because I think everyone now like totally appreciates camp. Like before,
Yeah.
you're like, I grew up here and you love camp. I get that. It's totally, but now it's like a summer away. Wow. just,
Hmm.
distance does make the heart grow fonder.
Yeah.
So I know my staff needed it, the campers needed it, the families needed it, I needed it, and we weren't able to do it. We did what we could. I think we did a good job of it.
Yeah.
But next year, I'm just so looking forward to next year.
Dude, me too. I mean, for me, it's funny with not being actually up at camp all summer now and just being able to come and visit, because of helping out behind the scenes and whatnot. My kids are hooked on camp, and it's like they're not even old enough to go yet. And but throughout this whole pandemic, every 2 to 3 days, when can we video call Uncle Spoon? When can we video call Uncle Tommy? Can we just go up to camp if no one's there? Like, and it was like, no, but we can video call Uncle Spoon. To Amelia's favorite thing in the world is doing changing like the emoji faces with you on
That was
Messenger.
fun.
She
That
thinks
was
that's like the greatest thing ever. So, but
There's
I
lenses. I never used it before. They were
oh
cool.
yeah, so they had a blast with that. But for how this kind of started was I was talking with Matt Friedman and his wife Steph and Amanda Novotny and a couple other people, and we were talking about all of these people that have never, in their lifetime of being, camp people, had that sting of not being at camp for a summer, and like we lived this every year for however many years it's been since we worked at camp, and and that's how these interview things kind of came up, and talking about doing this and telling old stories and what happened in yesteryear, because we were like, oh well, a lot of these people probably don't even know some of the traditions that they're still doing started
Yeah.
15, 20, 30, 40 years ago, and maybe they want to
Awesome.
know about it.
Again, I don't know how entertaining I've been. Hopefully, the people who are listening
Yeah.
enjoyed the conversation.
Well,
But
the people,
I'm excited to hear everyone else's story. Because everyone
yeah,
has a story for camp. You know,
sure.
they want to be involved. Sometimes life takes them to different places, but they still camp just holds that special place in your heart. And I
Yeah,
know a lot of members. Now that I'm going to more board meetings, I hear more stories, and I'm just like in awe at some of the
yeah,
stories that I hear and that I receive. So this is an awesome outlet. Thank you for letting me join. First of all,
yeah.
super
Well,
appreciate.
for me, what I wanted to do when we were kind of coming up with how are we going to do this, what are we going to do, my thought was I want people just to talk about how great camp is and like what it does for you, and that you can become a productive member of society. When camp kind of guides you a little bit, because you learn how to grow up in a very different way when you go to camp and versus when you don't. And I think that it's a great character builder for people, and
Oh yeah.
yeah, and like you said, like it guided you into your profession, and you know that's amazing. And
Any of my positive qualities either were enhanced by camp or
yeah,
grew out.
yeah,
You know, so I'm not saying that I was like a terrible person and camp changed me, but whatever was there was only enhanced. I was able to be myself truly,
yeah,
speak from the heart. And that's still what I do now. It's like I know what's morally right because camp taught me that. Because you're in a
that's
microcosm of a world where you don't have to play any games. You are yourself. You express yourself, and we teach the kids how to express themselves, and we work through problems because when you live with each other and you see each
can't
other,
leave.
your best, your worst, you
Yeah,
have to get over those fights because you sleep next to that person.
yep.
Um, like you learn so much and how to cope and how to be,
Mhm.
like you said, a productive member. Again, it's those ethics, it's those qualities that camp does instill in you.
Yeah. And I think that one of the things that Slipper does so well, that I don't want to say that other camps and other places don't. I think that the people that are chosen for different positions over the years have been like the right people, in a lot of ways. Because like for me, I mean, a hero of mine as a kid at camp growing up was Tom Baxter, and seeing what TB has done over all these years, I mean, it's unbelievable. I
Oh yeah.
remember when I was in Caden as a counselor, he went through and named every single kid in the village, like no big deal, and
Mhm.
he could do it for the other two villages too.
Oh
You
yeah,
know,
he'll know
and
everything
also,
by day two. He'll know every
oh,
kid's name, and he
oh
still does.
yeah,
And he came to every single event I had this summer.
hmm,
Not for nothing, I was a youngling. I
yeah,
was a young buck, and he trained me too. Think about that bigger picture.
yeah,
His training got me to where I am as well, and now I get to work with him.
hmm,
Like in this, it's just, yeah. I mean, it's amazing to be able to work with your heroes, like you said. I mean,
yeah,
Tom Baxter, Tom O'Neill. I mean, what a mentor for me, especially me.
yeah,
I feel like an adopted member of the O'Neill household. And
absolutely.
the fact that I get to, work with his son. He's in my wedding, and whenever we have it,
Awesome.
and it's awesome. I'm very proud that I can, kind of fill in his footsteps too a little bit, and like I feel part of like his family because
Yeah.
they opened it up to us, to all
Those
of
are
us.
some, and there's some shoes, man.
Yep.
Like he was it when I was. I mean,
They're hard to fill.
it's hard. It's hard to fill. Yeah. I mean, and we've had. I mean, even Steve, like going back to Steve as director, was fantastic. I mean, it was like the right people at the right time to do, these different things.
I
And
talked to Steve
I'm,
too. Talked to him for
yeah.
a long. Yeah.
I, what, but thinking about all of that, I'm really glad that you were here for this, as horrible as it is this summer, because we needed you to be able to do this, to get the kids connected and everything, and to, to be our guy. I mean, like to me, that solidified it even further than I already knew, because you were able to just kind of buck up. All right, what do we do at camp? We stay slipper strong and keep moving on, and let's go. And I
Well, thank
love
you.
that.
I mean, it wasn't ideal, but I hope
No,
people got what they wanted out of it. That's for
yeah,
sure.
it's not supposed to be ideal.
Yeah.
Most things that happen at camp that are great are an accident. You know,
Yeah,
so
you're right. You can't plan for everything. Sometimes
yeah,
you roll with the punches. Another can't
oh
less.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and when you think you have
Flexible.
enough time to practice, like think about like MTV Night, the ones that jump on it right on like
Yeah.
day one. Hey, we're gonna nail this thing. Their skits always are horrible. You know, it's the ones that are like 2 days before. Let's pick a song.
Not always. That's
A lot
that's
of
one.
time.
That's all one memory I have too. Is the waiters and waitresses. Amber and Jamie were their counselors.
Hmm.
They were ballroom dancing to Italian restaurant. This is 2003, another great summer. And
Yep.
they made fun of me because it was the best losing skit. Me, Ben, the Coes, we did this counting crows. Don't always seem to go. You don't know what you got till it's gone. And I was like,
Right.
this is the best MTV skit I've ever seen. We lost. We
Yep.
lost because they practiced 2 days and they ballroom danced. And I was like, it still hurts a little bit.
Oh yeah. I remember. I don't remember. I forget what summer it was, but I remember the waiters and waitresses doing car wash, and they brought and Ronnie drove the vans in to the pavilion, and they were actually washing the cars.
Oh yeah. Ronnie's. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Too
It is.
many
It's
stories, I guess. Once you start
yeah.
talking, stop.
Oh yeah. I could sit here and do camp stories for
Well, it's like when you
hours.
leave camp as a counselor, and all the people from like overseas or other states are in town. So you're
Yeah.
hanging out with your camp friends, and your home friends are like, "Dude, you've been gone all summer." You're like,
Right.
"No, no, like no, this is yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I'm
can you just deal
I'm
with them
actually
for a couple of
I'm
days? I'm like, "Let's
talking
do
I'm
this."
talking to Jody tomorrow.
Uh,
So so I'm excited to talk to some overseas people to kind of get their take on everything too. It's going to be that's a dynamic that a lot of people forget, is that I feel like we were so lucky to be so cultured by meeting people from all over the world, and that we still talk to. I mean, I still talk to and engage with these people from everywhere, and it's and I never would have had that experience,
People who
you
live
know.
leaving the Northeast, I call it the nest, like a
Yeah.
nest.
Yeah.
We don't. So when I met like Tim Rippeth from Nevada, who I
Yeah.
still talk to, he lives in like Japan now, and he's a
Right.
teacher. But it's like, what kind of air do you guys breathe over there? Like I didn't know anything. I
Yeah.
felt like just like a little neighborhood. And now I feel like I've expanded
Yeah.
and know a little bit more because I am a little bit more cultured because of
Yeah.
camp and everyone I get to meet, whether it's kids when I pick up my little bit of different languages through
Sure.
them.
How
Um,
about accents? How many accents did you start picking up little things from?
you know what? It's funny. I don't have an accent. Well, I
Hmm.
probably do, but like I don't say water. I say
Right.
water. I'm
That's
from
water.
Philly, but
It's water.
I say water, and some people make fun of me because I'm like I kind of lost my accent working at camp. A
Yeah.
little. I'm sure I still have it, but
Now
you know,
I correct the kids when they say things wrong. I tell them, no, 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 it's water. Those are
yeah,
Jimmy's, not sprinkles. You know. But I was joking with somebody the other day about that with when we were in 5 and 6. I remember we had Patrick Buck from Germany
yeah.
was in was in
Invite me
there.
to his wedding. It's one of the
We
weddings I couldn't make in my life because it was
oh
in Germany.
yeah.
15 sessions.
We had somebody from Michigan. We had
Justin,
somebody, Justin, right? Justin Flood from
yeah,
Michigan. We had me. Who else? Jeremy, I think, was in my bunk then.
yeah.
Um,
Andy
Jeremy
Meyer
Creighton,
from Britain. Was that year?
Andy Hay
Yeah.
was, yeah. And so by the time the summer was over, I could have slipped into English, Michigander, German, any kind of accent. That's the coolest thing, is that you get that kind of exposure. All these people from different walks of life, even growing up in the Northeast, the same thing. I grew up right around the corner from Washington High School, and my friends that lived in Alumni or in West Philly or whatever, like from camp, that I never would have met, and that's so cool. Like you think the city is so big. I never would have met those people, and how great is that we got to live together,
Yeah. And
and
become lifelong friends, which is
yeah,
that's the main takeaway, right? You're building lifelong friendships with these experiences, and
yeah,
I treasure my camp friends, even if I don't talk to them all the time. The beautiful part about camp friends is when you do talk to them, you don't skip a beat,
yeah.
and
Just pick up where you left off.
at least that's been my experience. I feel like it's been a lot
Right.
of people's experiences, but
Yeah. Same here. Same. I have the exact same. We can go. I mean, even like you and I will go a few months without talking, and then all of a sudden we talk, and we can be on the phone for an hour
yeah,
over not nonsense. You know.
the Friedmans, they just went, they celebrated their 10th year anniversary,
Hmm.
and they sent me pictures for the slideshow. They met up with Sue, who only came to camp my first year, and I still talk to her, to like Mike Thornton, like these
Uh,
guys who they don't talk to all the time. They're
yeah.
very much living their life, but it's so easy to be like, hey, I'm in town. Oh, great, we'll make time for you.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's what those camp connections do, man. Everyone's just like kind of okay. I got to drop what I'm doing. I got to figure it out because someone's in from camp. So
Right. Yeah.
I,
If you ever need a place to stay and you just want to travel, that's the way to do it. Hit
yeah,
up all the places where camp people are. You never pay for a hotel. You
yeah.
know. I mean, and that's funny. That's the way it is. Camp people put you up. It's an awesome thing. So, what let me see.
Hope it's not a
So,
tough one.
no, I know, man. No, I was going through like, what did we knock off already? Because just from talking, because it's just that easy. How did camp sculpt who you are? We did that. Like those were things I was thinking. Like, but what would you like to tell like current campers and staff who are going through withdrawal for the first time? Like that, like what do you think would be the most? I mean, I'm sure since you're already like you're still involved that way, you probably have had this conversation. But what do you think would help them? Because I
I
mean,
mean,
some
just
people lean on camp as a crutch. They need it.
yeah. So I've probably already spoken enough on this to our families, but it was a tough summer. We have to recognize that.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with saying that. I mean, I tried to, again, how successful it was, but tried to give some semblance, right? So we're sharing things, we're emailing families. We have the calendar out. We did a little jam session, so we had the cereal bowl. So there's a little Olympics thrown in.
Right.
So again, I hope that some of that, even just seeing it, if you couldn't get involved, you saw it and were like, oh, cool. Like there's that hint of camp. And hopefully, with whatever people had to do, whether they're stuck at home, whether they're visiting family members because the only people they can see, whether they can, escape and do whatever they're doing, or maybe they're doing some other type of program. It was okay to think the camp was tough this year. The whole world is going through a tough spot.
Right.
Ultimately, I guess kids are resilient. So
Yeah.
we're gonna and we're gonna bounce back. And I'm already in the midst of planning, budgeting We got to do that in September. So everything that we want to do, I've already worked on for this year, and
Yeah.
now we're going to enhance it even more.
Yeah.
With the help of the members, we had a big turnout for alumni when we had, the fall work days and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to, again, we're getting the good stuff done, right? Archery, we still got to clear out some riflery. That's my big project, expanding up there.
Yeah.
But sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but
No.
again, it was tough. It's okay to
Yeah.
acknowledge that. The kids are resilient. They're going to bounce back from this.
Right.
Whatever's going on in their life, they're going to get over it. We're going to work together with them. Whether we're talking about families, staff on my end, during summer camp, and we're just going to keep the traditions and keep the memories going in 2021. And we're going to keep engagement. And I'm hoping in December we have a huge turnout and we're allowed to meet for the skating reunion.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So once things can go back to normal, we're going to do what we can because we miss our family. Right?
Yeah.
And we miss you. So
Yeah.
we miss you. We want to see you soon. And we're just going to try to keep everyone engaged and until we can see each other again, whenever that is, however that is.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about. We're just do the best that we can with what we have. And, I think that everybody that's involved with camp now, the best part about camp is the interactions that you have with, your family, your GSC family. And if you're going through a hard time, reach out to somebody. I mean, like that to me is the, the crux of it. I want everybody to know there's always somebody to reach out to when you're part of camp, and that's and I love that you set that stage that that they were able to have some kind of a connection, and nobody was stranded, and that's awesome.
I know people were supporting each other, reaching out to each other. It might be tougher for our younger kids. I try to give them a little bit of an outlet, but they're resilient. So they're doing just like we just talked about. Even though we haven't seen each other for quite some time, as soon as you do see each other, it's going to be no time has passed.
Yeah.
New kids who come, hey, welcome to the family.
Yep.
Yes, we haven't seen each other. Maybe the first couple minutes, give us a moment to catch. But, they've known each other for a long time, and they haven't even seen each other. But after that, we're going to catch up, and then camp is going to be magical again.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll tell you what, if this was going to happen, I'm glad it happened in the time where we could do video calls and we can and we have internet almost everywhere. Like, if this had happened when I was a kid, like I would have been losing it. Absolutely losing it because we didn't talk to each other. Huh?
You would have had letters,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that would have been it. You'd been sitting at the mailbox waiting for your Hogwarts letter every day. Like, like what's going on? But I just
tried to do that too. I tried to think of the positives that we are able to, even though we can't function how we would at camp, we're still able to be connected in some way. Which you're right. We got to look at the positives.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's wonderful. I was talking to my kids about it, and they're having a hard time, with not seeing their friends at school and everything, and I totally get that. But they, I keep saying, how lucky are you that we can do? I said, you have to understand, we didn't have a computer in my house.
My day.
Until right, like, and not to, there, like, it's funny. I don't feel like there was as much difference from the time when my grandparents and my parents were kids versus from when I was a kid till now. The technology just changed so exponentially. I mean, I remember learning how to use a computer on an Apple II GS, at Anne Frank Elementary School, and that was amazing, playing Oregon Trail and whatnot. But now
there's an ant game I remember playing.
Remember, that one, and the Logo Writer was the other one with the little turtle that you would, But to think that that's where it was just 20 years ago, maybe a little more than 25 years ago, and but 25 years ago, when my parents, when I was little, 25 years before that, the world wasn't that different, There was no cell phones then. There still wasn't a cell phone, like there really wasn't a lot of personal computers. There still was not personal computers.
Thing, though, right? Were they saying that oh man, I can't believe time has changed so much? They probably feel the same way.
Probably. Music, your music sucks, and all that. But How'd the TikTok thing work with doing the MTV skits that way? Was that
I just
go over?
yeah, whatever. Well, I mean, kids are on TikTok, so I
Yeah.
said you didn't have to use it, but if you did, and luckily, because I don't have one, I am old. I've never felt so old this summer. I used to DJ dances, and the kids kept me young, but this summer I'm like, sure, TikTok. I had to Google like, can you send it to people? Yes, you can. Oh, great, because I don't have it myself. But yeah, they just sent in their submissions, and we pieced them together and made a good video. We used some
I
old footage in the beginning, and
Yeah. I coached middle schools, and last year or the year before is when I started to have that moment of what's going on, like with everything, because the kids were on TikTok and their favorite thing to do was watch someone else play video games. And I was really confused because I was like, why don't you play the video game? And they're like, no, he's a professional.
now
Like,
you're, now you're a curmudgeon. Yeah,
and I'm like, what is happening right now?
it's just different because we watched like at our friend's house. So
Right.
now are a little separated, but because of technology, they can still be connected. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
The, the YouTubers, I mean, my
Hmm.
fifth graders, they keep me up to speed. I do know some things, but
Yeah.
sometimes I just don't want to learn. So I just like, I'm okay if they laugh at me a little bit. I'm fine with that.
I'm into YouTube. Like I watch tons of content people, like content creators, and I love it. But I was talking one of my kids, I said, why would you watch that guy play a video game? Just go play the video game. Like I don't understand. And he's like, do you watch HGTV and then do something to your house? I was like, you got me, kid. That was pretty good. Like you're gonna run laps so you can't walk, but it's cool, you know. But no, I'm baffled, that we're in this time where we're able to basically hold camp with no camp. Like
And
that's
I think it leads to other opportunities, which is
yeah,
now what you're starting right now. So again, now you're reaching out to people. Hopefully, this was entertaining enough that people are like, I want to get on there. I want to be
yeah,
interviewed. I want to talk about camp. And now, because we were kind of forced to do this,
yeah,
now it's like, yeah, why weren't we doing this before? Oh,
right,
so, I look forward to the rest of the series. I haven't spoken with Kelly in a while, so I can't wait to
yeah,
hear whenever you air that.
yeah,
I've spoken
yeah,
to Javi, but I still am interested in. Like, I'm going to be listening personally because I like hearing these stories because
yeah,
I still feel, even 20 years later, that I'm the new kid on the block. I still feel people were there for so long,
yeah,
and they just have so much There's so much history that I really eat it up.
yeah.
And so I'm interested. I can't wait to. I don't know if you have any more questions for me. Sorry, but I just
No, I mean
I'm
that's
interested.
really it. I wanted, the reason I wanted to have you on first and be like the first person is because you're
It's worked
still there, you're still connected. What's that?
for me. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right. You're still there, you're still connected, and you're doing your thing, and you've moved on to so many different positions. But the main reason I wanted to talk to you is because I know how much you love camp, and I know that we could sit here and do a 10-hour podcast talking about camp because it's easy to do, and we've hung out. I'm in the bunk super late nights just talking about the year before. And we can, and that's so cool that you have that connection. You can still do that, and I thought that people would, that love camp like we do. I mean, there's almost 600 people in the alumni group on Facebook. And if those 600 people can get something out of it or have some kind of connection back to it, and I want to hear their stories. And I think that, we have over 70 years of history, and I think that we should have that history documented somehow. And
Well,
and nothing better than, from the horse's mouth. What did you do at camp? Like let's hear it. I want to hear from like Neil Grable and and some of
yeah.
the guys that were there 40 years ago, and I want to hear from people that just started a year or two ago and then couldn't come back or whatever. I think that it's so great that we have this one common connection that is always there and that you can't get away from. And I think that that's awesome.
We're separate, but together through our love of GSC.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
what so it doesn't matter where we are, GSC, it binds us together.
Yeah,
No matter how old you are, when you came,
yeah,
and even when people do come, they're like, oh my gosh, it hasn't changed. I mean, it has changed, right?
yeah,
Like council wasn't even there when something, but when you come to camp, everything comes flooding back and you instantly have a connection with the thousands of people that came before you, and you
yep,
will have a connection with the thousands of people that come after you.
Yep.
So it's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hey, how can we end it on anything better than that? Do you have anything, any advice for the kiddos that you wanted to throw out there, or you think you said it all? What do you?
Yeah, I think I said it all, but again,
Yeah,
do well in school
yeah.
and
Be
stay positive.
smart.
Look
Yeah,
look for the positive in things. Your life will be a lot better and easier if you focus on the positives.
that's it.
So you know
Okay.
that's all.
Well, you can't beat that. Uncle Justin Spoon Guida, the current Golden Slipper Camp director and alumni in our hearts. And we I want to thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and chat with me. And I'm sure that hopefully it's even if it's 15 people that check this out, I hope that they get something out of it. I know that I always do when I talk to camp people. It means a lot to me. So let's share those stories and keep everybody slipper strong, right?
Yeah, listen, I can't wait to hear the other ones. Anyone
Yeah.
listening to this right now or watching it, contact me anytime. But be well. I hope this was entertaining. And Sam, thanks again for having me on.
Hey,
I super appreciate it, and I'm happy to be a part of anything for camp.
hey, man, that's it. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here. Until next time, take care, guys.
Later days.